Okay, good morning. This is Dennis Miracle. Today I'm going to be making something I'm calling the Onyx purse. It's kind of, well, it's part of my semi-precious stone and vintage collection. Uh, and so let me start off telling you what you need. And I've decided to start cutting all of my fabric and batting, which uh, at 7 by 11, this is for the 6 by 10 hoop. So the first things, well, in no particular order, you need two pieces of fabric for your lining, cut 7 by 11. You need two pieces of batting, and these two pieces of fabric here are fabric that has a back and a front and the batting in between. It's what was used to do some practice on a long arm quilting machine, so I'm trying to use this up without just throwing it away. It's too good to throw away. You need, for the front of the bag, you need two pieces. You need two pieces that will complement each other. I'm going to use this first, which is a pretty fabric with birds on it. And then I'm going to use this piece also, which complements it because there's some of the same mustard type color in the bird fabric. And for the center of the design, right where I'm pointing, I'm going to use a little piece of this kind of melon colored fabric. And this is just, I don't know, it was cut, I think it's about 5 by 5, but that's way bigger than you need. Probably 2 by 3 would do it. I don't know quite yet. Once I get it sewn out, the placement lines, I can tell you more what size you need, but this is definitely big enough, 5 by 5. And then you need a piece of fabric for your back, which I'm going to use more of the bird fabric. You need a number 3 zipper, nylon zipper, at least 12 inches long. And then I'm going to hang a wristlet to it. So I've just chosen this piece of grosgrain ribbon with a key ring put in between, and I just stapled it at the top to hold it together. So this is what you'll need to begin with, and or not to begin with, but to do the project. And I have run the first step, so let me take that out of the machine, and we'll be putting on our zipper first. So let me grab that. All right, now you can see maybe there are 4 lines here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have a number 3 zipper, it should fit perfectly between line 1 and line 4. So I'm going to take my zipper and center it horizontally, and let me see, that should do it. And it does fit perfectly between lines 1 and 4, if I can get it to stay put. And I've gotten the head of my zipper over here to the left. So let me go ahead and tape this down. I put one over here, as you see right there. I put one in a small piece of tape in the middle, right at the edge at the top, and another one here by the zipper. And let me see. Okay. Oops, let me pull it up. It's a little high. Probably won't make any difference, but don't come. Okay. All right. Now, there we are. I'm going to stick this back in the machine and run step number 2, and I'll be right back. And what step number 2 will do is just sew the zipper down, so I'll be right back. All right, you can see the zipper has been sewn down. I think you can see it there. The lines of the thread is a very pale pinkish orange. So what we want to do now is turn the hoop over to the back, and you will see now the 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to take your first piece of lining, place it face down centered between the right and the left, and place it edge to edge with the fourth line down, which I believe I have done there. And so tape it down. I need one more for the center. There we go. Now pick up your hoop, and you'll notice that the fabric will fall over to the front of the hoop, the lining fabric. So now you see it's fallen over to the front of the hoop, and take and fold it several times, and just take it and place it here. Tape it here to the frame of your hoop because we need it to be out of the way for quite a number of steps. So there we are, that should hold. All right, now take your piece of fabric that you want to be, let me show you on the screen. Here's the design. You need to, whatever fabric you want where this diamond shaped quilting is, that's your first piece of fabric to be put down. Go ahead and get that, and in my case I'm going to use this fabric here, this mustard color, and go ahead and place it. Make sure you're okay right and left, and make sure you are up against the edge to edge with the zipper. So I'm pulling mine gently. Okay, I think that's okay, and tape it down. I pulled it a little bit, but that should be okay. All right. Okay, now take and put this in the machine and run step number 3, which will sew down this top fabric and the lining fabric in back. So go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, now let's look here at the front and see, yes, it has sewn it down perfectly, and also turn it over, make sure that it's sewn down on the back. Yes, it is sewn, that's fine. Okay, now turn back to the front and take your piece of whatever you're using for batting, and I think I described what I'm using. So I'm using this quilted practice piece, and place it about 1/8 of an inch below the stitch line of the fabric here. So below this line right here, take and pull your fabric down over the batting and make sure it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to take an iron mine down because I like a nice crease at the top by the coils of the, let's see, it's got a nice crease up here, right here. So stick this back in your machine, and the next thing that's going to happen is the machine's going to do somewhat of a basting stitch to just hold this fabric down and the batting down, because we've got a lot of quilting and satin stitching to do. So go ahead and put this back in your machine and run step number 4, and I'll be right back. All right, you can see that this has been sewn down, which is on all 4 sides, which is exactly what I wanted. Now go ahead and let me see here. Okay, take the fabric you want to be this. Next thing we're going to do, though, is place the placement stitch for the oval here in the center. So just stick the hoop back in the machine, and it will do the placement stitch for the oval. So let me do that. All right, you can see that the placement stitch for the oval part has taken place. So get your fabric, whatever you're going to use to place there. I'm going to use this pretty bird fabric and try to place it, well, Let me see. I guess that's okay. No, I don't know. So go ahead and place this back in your machine, and it's going to tack this down, and then we're going to trim all the way around the oval. So go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, you see the line that it has, the bird fabric has been sewn down. So take your best applique scissors and cut the exterior part off all around the oval. We just want this in the center to be left. So go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, you can see that I have trimmed away the excess fabric, and the next thing that's going to happen is it's going to, we'll put it back in the machine, and it's going to do some lovely stitching here, a form of satin stitching to get rid of these ugly raw edges. So go ahead and stick it in your machine and run step number 7. All right, you can see that the pretty satin stitching, I call it rickrack stitch, has been done around the center oval. The next thing to be done is it's going to do this small little oval that is goes a vertical oval as opposed to this horizontal oval. So let me put that in, and it will show us where to place our fabric. So let me do that. All right, you can see probably right now where the little oval has been, the outline has been placed. Let me take the fabric I'm going to use, which is this little, let me measure this oval so you'll know. It is not even 2 inches tall by not quite an inch and a half wide. So you can cut fabric to fit that. I've got this piece here that's much larger than needed, but it's something that was just had been cut previously. It was just there, so I just picked it up, and I'm going to use that. So let me use that, and let me iron it a little bit. Okay, now let me stick it in the machine, and it'll sew that down. Be right back. All right, you can see that it has been sewn down, and I'm going to take and trim all around it, and then I'm going to go ahead. The next step will be the rickrack satin stitch around it. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it and stick it in the machine and get that rickrack stitch completed. So I'll show it to you when it's done. Be right back. Okay, you can see the pretty rickrack stitch has been placed around the center oval, and I'm going to take and change thread to a little bit darker. Really, I guess it's an orange thread, and for the flower, to put this pretty flower inside here. So let me do that, and I'll run that step and be right back. All right, now you can see the center quilting that has been done. I'm not super pleased with that. I thought that the orange was a darker orange. It is darker, but I wanted something a little darker. I could run another color over it, but I'm not going to do that. The next thing to be done is honeycomb quilting in the large oval. So I'm going to stick that. In fact, let me look. Okay, we've got honeycomb quilting here, and what I call simple diamonds in this mustard area. So I'm going to go ahead and just run those next two quilting steps, and these are all optional. Didn't have to put this flower in the center. That was certainly optional. Make it your own. So if you like the quilting, fine, run it. If you don't, fine, don't run it. So make it something that you're proud of, and make it your own. So let me stick this in and run those 2 steps, and I'll be right back. All right, all of the quilting has been completed. I think it looks nice. I think if I were to do this, run this exact bag again, I think I'd leave off the quilting in here. I think it makes it a little bit busy for this particular fabric, but That's just my personal opinion. Like I say, you can leave it off or not. It's not mandatory that you do that. All right, now the next thing we need to do is finally we can release the lining fabric here and let it fall over to the back. Am I forgetting anything? I hope not. I don't think I am, but I could be. So, and let's take off this these pieces of tape on the side here. Okay, and then and then pull this down, pull it down, smooth it down, and I think I can use here. Okay, I'm gonna use this same tape on here. Hopefully, it will stay on there. All right. And now take and put this back in your machine and run step number 14. All right, I just ran step 14. Let me turn it over and make sure that all worked out okay. Yes, it did. It did fine. Now I'm going to take my seam ripper and I'm going to clear the stabilizer from the back of the zipper. So I use paper towel as my stabilizer, so I just use my thumbnail to push it along there, and it comes off very easily and fairly cleanly. So that's done. So do whatever you need to do to remove that, whether you need to cut with scissors or a knife or whatever, but go ahead and remove. So now we can see the zipper on the back side. Now turn the hoop back over and remove the piece of tape from the zipper that originally held the zipper down. All right, that's gone. Open up the zipper about 3/4 of the way. All right. Now, if you're going to attach the little attachment so you can put a wristlet, go ahead and do that at this point. I'm going to take mine and place it right here in the corner, about like this, and I'm going to tape it down like that, and make sure you tape this metal piece down if you have metal, because it has a way of getting under your presser foot and causing a mess. Okay, now we've moved the zipper in. That's the most important thing. Now take your whatever you're going to use for the back of your bag, whatever fabric, and your batting. I've already put my here's my fabric I'm using, which was the same fabric, and here's my batting that I'm using, and go ahead and place it face down over your design, and making sure that you're at least 1/4 inch above the zipper, which I'm quite a bit above the zipper with this batting and the back fabric. See, here's the back fabric here. All right, and make sure you're fine on the sides, which I am, and I'm fine at the bottom also. So take and stick this in your machine and run step 15. All right, you can see that that has been this step number 15. I ran that, and it is all basically it closed the bag up. It's all closed on all sides. And now take and turn for the very last step. Turn your hoop over to the back. We're going to apply the last piece of fabric you should have, which is the last piece of lining. So take and use this piece of lining fabric face down, and make sure you just place it over what's all the lining fabric that's already there, basically, and make sure you can see. I hope you can see the top stitch line. Make sure your fabric is at least 1/4 inch over that. Make sure that you have some room left down here at the bottom. That's your which there's not much left, but you're still going to get it. it's going to be fine. And then take and stick this in your, let me pull it a little bit this way. Take and stick this in your machine and go ahead and run the last step, step number 16, and I'll meet you right back. Well, I forgot to add, you need to tape this down. So well, there goes my tape. All right, tape on each corner. Use your tape and tape down each corner. So I've got to get more tape in a second. So I just tape that, tape it up here, tape it right here, and tape it down here, and then runs the last step. So let me find my tape, more tape, and run this last step, and I'll be right back. All right, the sewing is completed. Let's turn over to the back side and see if everything stayed as it should. Yes, it did. And leaving, of course, this nice wide gap for us to turn the bag through, which is exactly what it was supposed to do. All right, now let's take and remove the bag from the hoop. Take off the top part of the hoop and check it for, start to say ticks. No, we're not concerned with ticks. Check it for tape. And then lift up the bottom part of the hoop, and let's see if we have any tape on it. I don't see any, so set it aside. Also check the bed of your machine. I don't see any over there, and I don't see any over there, so I think we're good. It's just something I do every time I take something off the machine, is check for tape, because it sometimes comes off and could be a mess. Anyhow, I always cut from the lining side. So here we are on the lining side. You see the piece we just had sewn on right here. It's face down. The two lining pieces are right sides together. So take your sharp scissors and start over here and cut right up through here, right to this point right here, and then cut from the side, cut into that point there, and this little segment should fall off. And at that point, just can start cutting right about 1/4 of an inch from the stitch line all the way up, across the top, down the side. And when you get here, do the same thing, cut in like this up to this where the stitching ends, and all of this should fall off. And so let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, I have trimmed, you can see I have trimmed it all the extra off. And now what you need to do, we got one little bit more trimming. I like to say, this is the lining, the two pieces of lining are here in front of me, and pull back both pieces of lining. I'm going to pull back both pieces of lining, and what I'm going to do is take my iron and just press, just to make it easier, press those two pieces of lining with your iron, and take your scissors and come in right here, right at the very edge. Don't cut into the lining, but right at the very edge, just ever so slightly above the lining. And you want to cut just like this, down through here and off the side, and get rid of all this junk here, because it doesn't have a purpose at this point. So just cut it off and throw it away, and I'll be right back. All right, you can see that it is all gone, and what you need to do now, it's time for us to turn the bag through the big gap here. And of course I can't do it holding the camera, but I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to turn the bag out, and then I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, I have turned the bag out, and what you're going to do now is take this piece of lining, and if you pressed it like I did, it's kind of, you've already got it halfway done. It's already turning inside like it should be, so that makes that easier. But the second piece of lining, the longer piece, go ahead and turn it in. And when you get it all turned in nicely, it's a little shorter than usual for some reason. It usually goes way down inside here. Anyhow, when you get it all turned in, take your iron and iron it down so it stays closed, stays down in there, and I'll be right back. All right, I have taken it and it is nice and steamed down so it doesn't move. Now you need to go to your regular sewing machine and sew from either, doesn't matter which side you sew from, this side or over here. Sew this gap closed right at the very edge of this piece of lining here. Just go to the very edge of the lining and sew all the way. So just down through there and close it up. Make sure it's closed when you're done, and meet me back here. All right, I have sewn this gap closed, and you're going to see some pieces of thread. Go ahead and cut them off at this point. Let me see, there's a long piece right there. Turn it over, and here's another piece right here. Let's see, and then there's some up here. You could spend a good few minutes doing this, but I'm not going to do any more than that. All right, now we're almost ready for the grand reveal. Take and put your hand inside here and find that piece of, well, first, if you can, open up your zipper as far as it'll go. All right, now find that piece of, there it is over there. Now let me, there that is. Let me grab that. Okay, there. That's out of there. All right, now let me put down the camera again and let me turn the bag out and we'll see what we have. So just be right back. All right, this is what we have. I think it's quite beautiful. One thing I started doing is take your iron and stick your iron in here and press away from the, press the lining away from the zipper. So that looks good. Okay, now go ahead and take and grab the, not the front part, but the back part of the zipper and just mold it, pull it forward like this so it will close easier, get it in its right position, and take and close the all right, now I'm going to take and give this a press. There's no plastic or vinyl here, so I'm going to press right on here. Press it down good. Okay, all right, and turn it over and press it on the back. All right. Okay. Okay, now this is what we have. What do you think? I think it's quite beautiful. Like I say, I'm honest and I tell it like it is. If I were to do this exactly again with the same fabric, I think I would do a little different thread, and I do maybe leaving off this honeycomb quilting here, but then again, maybe not. But I leave things, one thing I believe doing this is to put in as many options as you can, or instead of putting all of this quilting into one step, I put everything in a separate step so you can determine what you want and not me, because I've given you a canvas to work on, and I've given you the bare bones, and you can decide if you like the little flower here. If not, leave it out. You don't need this quilting, that's fine, leave it out. You don't like this quilting, that's fine, leave it out. So anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed, this is the Onyx purse. I hope you've enjoyed being with me today and watching me make this. And I've got a bunch more in this same vein of things. I know I've got one that has, well, it's very similar. I think this little piece here is turned horizontal, and maybe this bigger piece is turned vertical. I can't remember, but I've got 4 or 5 more of these. People seem to like these. I think it has a vintage feel to it. But anyhow, so once again, thank you so much. And if you buy it or obtain it, I hope you'll make something beautiful for yourself or a friend, family, a loved one, or even an enemy. And I want to thank those who continue to support me with all their words of encouragement and the purchases they make. Uh, so I thank all of these people that do that, and I hope you have a great blessed day. And I'll see you probably tomorrow with another creation. So thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.